Welcome to the Pillow Talks podcast. Today, we will be interviewing a Jewish man who lives in the Dominican Republic and has the knowledge of the story because of his family. But first, we will talk a little bit about the Jews and World War II. Here we have Barry Vasquez and Beatrice Rangel. What do you have for us today?
Okay, Leslie. So, the 7 decades after the end of World War II, most American Jews say remembering the Holocaust is essential to what being Jewish means to them personally. But about 6 million European Jews were killed in the Nazis during the Holocaust, which began in about 1941 and ended in May 1945, when Germany was defeated by the Allied powers. Beatrice, what else can we say about the Jews in World War II?
Well, Barry, the war came to a close in August 1945 when the Japanese surrendered, and about 3/4 of American Jews say remembering the Holocaust is an essential part of being Jewish, and which nowadays people as us Dominicans, when we see each other as Dominicans, we are proud to be Dominican. So that helped the Jews be more proud and open about who they are. According to a 2013 Pew Research Center survey, Jews were surveyed and they were asked about whether other aspects of the Jewish life were important to their Jewish identity. And only one of these 8 options, leading an ethical life, ranked almost as highly as remembering the Holocaust. Anti-Semitism long predates the Holocaust and is still alive today. Indeed, many European countries, including France and Germany, there have recently been attacks on Jewish individuals as businesses and organizations. So, not only the Holocaust happened once, but these people recently have also been victims of racism and xenophobia. What do you have for us, Leslie?
And also, in 1945, when Allied troops entered the concentration camps, they discovered piles of corpse, bones, and restings of human ashes that were testimony to Nazi mass murders. Also, soldiers found thousands of Jewish and non-Jewish survivors suffering from starvation and disease. For survivors, the prospect of rebuilding their lives was daunting. After liberation, many Jewish survivors feared to return to their former homes because of the anti-Semitism that was a very hatred of Jews that persisted in parts of Europe and the trauma they had suffered. Some who returned home feared for their lives because they were coming from Poland, where was the concentration camp Auschwitz, for example, and there were a number of pogroms that were the violent anti-Jewish riots. The largest of these occurred in the town of Kielce in 1946, when Polish rioters killed at least 42 Jews and beat many others. They were very violent during this time.
Now that we talk about it, Leslie, I heard that you went to a Holocaust memorial in Germany a couple years ago, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's so interesting. Can you tell us about your experience?
Yes, for me it was first very interesting because I really enjoy this topic and the story behind it, all the Hitler stuff and the Holocaust situation, and I always wanted to visit one. In 2022, I went on a trip to Europe and visited Germany, where I went to one of the concentration camps. It was a really nice but sad experience because it was very dark. You could feel the people suffering there. I saw their rooms, their bathrooms, the places they were killed, etc. And you could feel the vibration of those Jews who spent days working in the winter without clothes to protect them, and it was very hard. I felt sad just thinking about their situation.
Wow, it is really hard to know that Jews did really have a very bad life then. They were criticized and differed from the society, and Hitler literally abused of them.
I totally agree. Now, viewers, we will ask some questions to our Jewish guest, which is the father of our Jewish friend Lia Gosali. We would like to have a different perspective and opinion of the topic from a more personal Jewish point of view.
Mr. Gosali, welcome to our podcast. We have some questions for you. First, what stories have been passed down about your family members' experiences during that time?
Many stories have been passed down in my family about the time that my grandfathers and grandmothers were subdued to the most horrific and challenging times that any human being has been forced to live in modern history. I think one of them is how they had to look at the eyes of their kids without being able to explain how and why they will have to leave their homes, their jobs, their towns to face horrible calamities and not to be able to reunite as a family. Also, stories of despair, of how women were ill treated, on how kids were put to work in forced labor camps. I think the big lesson about all the stories we have shared through our generations about this horrific situation is the fact that human beings have the ability to get back on their feet and be able to feel hope, faith, and so many other forces that allow them to keep living and keep moving forward, notwithstanding what they have faced in the past.
Wow, interesting. And how did your family members cope with the challenges and atrocities they faced during the Holocaust?
I think the main way that we cope was telling the stories and passing down from generation to generation the realities that they have to live. I think that helped them understand and rationalize all the pain they had to live. But also, it gave the hope that this will never happen again. So, I think that being able to heal and forgive and share all the stories was the main tool for our fathers and mothers and grandparents to be able to keep going. Also, I think that being in a position where they were able to thrive in new countries and having the hope that they can give a better life to their generations, I think was a mechanism that allowed them to keep pushing forward.
Your family members are so strong, Mr. Gosali. And did they share any specific lesson or message with the future generations based on their experiences?
I think the main lessons, as I said before, is that no matter what happens, you have to keep going. No matter how hard your life has been, if you're still alive, you are able to look forward. You are able to have hope in your life. I think that that's the main lesson to be hopeful, to be forgiven, to understand that holding grudges and keeping all of that negative feelings bottled up in your heart, it only affects you. So letting go and letting God do his job, being hopeful, being cheerful even in moments of despair, I think that's the best lesson we can pass down to our generation.
Wow, that is something we should all learn about. And how has your family's connection to the Holocaust affected your own personal beliefs and values?
I think that being a descendant from people who has suffered so many horrors in one lifetime has helped me understand that there will always be persons willing to use their power or willing to use all of that there's in their reach to not necessarily harm others, but to fulfill their desires, even if that means killing and ravaging and raping and robbing people from their future. So even though there's so many horrors in life, I think knowing that no matter what happens, there's a more powerful force above us all, that it's called God, that has that's he's the only one that has complete power over all of our lives. I know that many people died, many people suffer. Nevertheless, those who promoted those suffering, I think that had to face also their consequences. So I think we have to understand that humankind it's prepared with this chip, with this DNA of getting back on their feet, keep pushing forward. I deeply believe that we have a God that, even though that horrible things happen in this world, He has an eternal and undeniable love for us as His Son.
Wow, that must be hard. And how has learning about your family members' experiences influenced your understanding of history and the world today?
I think we're living in very different times in which power and democracy are more available, and the impact of social media, digital communication, and so on makes it very hard for politicians and power bearers to be able to subdue a whole country. But in perspective, I think it responds to an era in which many people thought that there was this greater objective of becoming these superpowers, these super countries, no matter how many people you had to kill to get to that. I think that has changed a lot. I think that the vision it's different nowadays. I think that being able to understand what is happening in other countries has allowed the international community to put more pressure on those governments and countries that try to violate democracy.
Wow, that was such an impactful point of view. We are so grateful for having you here. Thank you, Mr. Gosali.
In conclusion, the Holocaust was one of the most violent moments of history, and with all the chat we had about it, you can get the idea of how bad it was. I hope you liked our podcast. Thank you for hearing us, and see you in the next encounter.